So recently, I have been doing a lot of research into a lot of things. I was talking to someone, I think it was here on YouTube, and they requested a video basically explaining the class differences if I could break it down and make it simple. So I don't normally do this, but in a second I'm going to show you my little cheat sheet, and I will actually put it in the link below. My ADHD brain, you guys can actually kind of see the way I think, and I'm explaining each of these points for you. So the first thing is shooters. So the very first thing here, it's not the first thing listed actually, it is the fact that they have high attack and damage output. Now, if you saw the fourth point as well, they're also better at PvE, so they're better at killing things, specifically. So, with that being said, they are better for free-to-play, in my opinion, and noobs the entire way through the story up until you reach T9. You could switch when you reach Queen 20, as I've said before. Throughout my visits and my travels and all the accounts I've made, most people, as I'm kind of going through this discussion with them of what they should pick, don't do that. So I'm simplifying it here and just saying that if you're free to play, or if you're a noob, in my opinion, you should start as a shooter, because it's the easiest thing to do when you're low level, especially if you're playing the way I just played when I made the guide, to hunt and attack things as a shooter. And the reason why that is because, hold on, let's see what time it is. Oh, hold on. I'm just gonna take y'all with me. You've already seen me do this before, so it's no big deal. So, the shooters have the highest attack, which makes it the highest easiest way to kill creatures. Whether it's lizards or groundhogs or spiders or scorpions, whatever it is you're hunting, they are the easiest thing to do that with from start to finish. And as you can see in my next point here, they also are the most usable, in my opinion, with universal ants. Obviously universal, but because most universal ants have high damage output, they are, whoops, I did that one too much. They're best suited for universal ants, I should say. There are other class specific ants that they have, like Reapmaster and Master General, which are good ants as well, and they have their place. But the fact that you can also do huge amounts of damage to groundhog and to lizards throughout the game, in my opinion, make them best suited for free to play and for noobs. I'm going to make a reverse argument, like the opposite argument, in a second. Only because this is more of a pro and con kind of list than it is anything else. So, ooh. I had something planned here, but I don't see the ant now. Oh, here he is. So the next thing would be shooters, and the shooters have the best all-around stats in the game. So anyways, you guys can kind of see what I do when I'm trying to make decisions about stuff here. So I don't know if it's going to help you or not, but hopefully it does. So I had another ant I could decompose. I just realized as I was making the video that this was during, oh, that's why. Yeah, we're gonna scrap him for now and get another one by the time I need him. It's gonna be a little while. 2, 3, bam. Move this guy up. It's a done deal. Not quite usable for me yet, but it is what it is. So the next thing we're going to talk about is carriers. Carriers have the fastest march speed in the game, which is great if you're hunting, if you want to get stuff over really quickly. And with that being said, it has to be all carriers for you to get that boost. So if you go into the evos for carriers, and you go down to Packlight, increases carrier march speed, but I thought I would say it here. But this is only for carriers, because this is a carrier specific evolution. So if you don't have carriers, they're not going to gain access to this benefit of the Packlight. It's not like the entire squad or the entire unit. It's only whatever squads are carriers. While we're here, let's take a look at the ant load. They also get a boost to ant load, so that would be for whatever squad is carrier as well. So you can kind of mix and match with that. In a second, I'm going to take you to each one of the unit stats, so you can actually kind of see what I'm talking about. Anyways, accidentally fat fingered the record button again. The next, am I too far away? Whatever. Must have TP'd. So the next thing we're going to look at here is they've got all around stats. So if you look at carriers, once you start getting them, I think to T7, their stats become more all around. They don't really excel in anything, but they're good. So they're really more geared towards PvP than any other unit. The difference, as you can see here, if you don't understand my first con in this list, is that they don't have anything that really sets them apart besides just having good all-around stats. So like shooters, for instance, get an invasion bonus, and guardians, for instance, get a garrison bonus. So when you're invading an anthill, shooters get a boost. Or whatever you're invading, really. I'm pretty sure it goes over everything. Guardians, however, get a boost from garrison, and both of those boosts stack with whatever class you are. So Guardians obviously benefit the most from herders. Shooters benefit the most from raiders. Raider only affects the pro. That's a whole other conversation I may or may not have about class at some point. If you guys don't want it, just reach out to me. If no one wants it, I'm not going to make the video. I do have 2 other videos after this planned already. I don't know whether they'll be coming out tomorrow or the next day. I've kind of been waiting for my voice to come back since this weekend to make videos, which is why I'm kind of putting videos back out every day now. Anyways, back to carriers, because I just kind of wanted to point that out. Because of the gathering boost and the fact that they're good at PvP, they are best used when you're talking about PvP purposes, like on the map for RSS tile hits in combination with their speed. So yeah, Guardians, they obviously have a high defense. They don't have high attack and they don't have high HP. I hate my autocorrect. They get a boost in garrison, as we already talked about. They've recently been buffed, so nothing you can see on your screen, but they were recently buffed in a patch. They have 3 good free-to-play specific ants. I'm not going to talk about squads in this video. I'm going to make another video either by the end of today or tomorrow, talking about new squad formations. It's been requested a few times of me, so I'm going to try and get it out as fast as possible. This was first, so I'm trying to get this video done first, and I kind of need all these things to establish the point that I'm going to make in that video. So if you want to know about new formation squads, please watch that video. And if you're coming back to this video from that video, because I'm going to point out in that video that you should probably watch this first, this is the point that I'm trying to make, is just trying to get these baseline perks for each of these units. But if you know what those ants are, you already know. Off the top of my head, I think they're Rock Bandit, Black Cancer, and Mimicry Master. Carriers have more rare class-specific ants, so there's less of a chance, with the exception of New World General, of pulling a carrier-specific ant than there is a Guardian, except for Mimicry Master, or Shooter ant. That's universal. You can also use the universal for carriers, but since especially the DPS get more of a boost from having high attack, those universal are more suited for shooter, which I think has covered almost all of the cons here. At least the first set. The shooters, they don't have high defense or HP. It's actually pretty low, so if they're getting hit hard at all by anything, they're gonna die really quickly. The old style of gameplay for shooters was to kill as much as fast as possible, and that's why they were good. Now, in between the different classes, you also have I wish I had a Photoshop or something so I could set a chart up for you, but I don't. So shooters are good against carriers. Carriers are good against guardians. Guardians are good against shooters. So you have this kind of ecosystem where one is better than the other, with nothing really being weak. While we're on this subject, I'm going to probably go to, let me see. Before I go there, while I have everything up on my screen, I just kind of want to make these points, and then we're going to go look at the stats. So, one major weakness to shooters as far as squad formations do go, I'm just going to touch upon this. I'm gonna make a more in-depth video on this, like I said, either later today or tomorrow. In PvP, they can easily be killed by something that has a stall, a debuff, or if it has high enough defense. So right now, shooter squads are getting ripped apart by Guardians. Guardians are viable. Talk about it later. A stall, if you don't know what a stall is, so a stall is mostly what the game considers to be a support ant. You have to, I'm going to go into this in this other video I'm going to make. This isn't for this video. But if you look at basically almost any support, I know what I'm looking for in Giant Tooth. So if you look at Giant Tooth's second skill, there is no stall, debuff, or real damage classification to ants. There is 2 skills though. This is a debuff skill. As well as debuffing, it also damages the opponent. It does a decent amount of damage for its level. This is what's known as a stall, or a silence, or suppression. Basically, it prevents the enemy from attacking. And I'm gonna show you guys in a separate video how that works out on paper. Banshee Panda, if you're pay to win, I know I have some pay to win people, so I kind of have to talk about it now. Watching the channel, this is a stall. This will be Banshee Panda has stall skills, and I also think it has debuff, the same as Giant Tooth. This is pretty much Giant Tooth on steroids. So it has a buff, which is a separate thing. There is no real buff. Like, there's no ant that has just buffs. Acid General has a buff as well. I think it's this one. So this increases your damage to someone. So that's not a debuff, it's a buff. But there are no real buff skills. But anyways, shooters take the most damage or are most vulnerable to debuffs, because if they can't kill fast enough, they're going to die, whether it's by guardians or by carriers. It's a major weakness. It's something I honestly think that when the devs fixed the ants 2 patches ago, I think that they did that with this in mind, and that it would balance everything out, and it honestly did. I've already talked about this first point for carriers. The fact that it doesn't really excel at anything that's really usable, because unless you're in a PvP server or a what I call war server where there's just no naps or anything, it's very, very, that would be the only real benefit on a day-to-day basis for PvP. Obviously you're going to be using Crystal Mine or Queen of Duels, but it's not going to affect your gameplay that much, because that stuff is more to give you germs and genes, which is more of an endgame thing than it is something that you're trying to get to while you're a noob or while you're trying to get to Queen 25. And as I've talked about before, I've been playing on my main for almost 6 months, and I'm only just now about to hit Queen 25 as free to play. I've shown you guys what I've got before, so I'm going to go with this assumption on free to play, because everything I've done hasn't been towards building, it's been towards building up my team. Carriers can be, this is going to be controversial, can be destroyed pretty easily by shooters. If it comes to both carriers and shooters having DPS units, the carrier will lose every single time. And that's the point I'm trying to make. There are ways to counter this. I'm not going into this video. If you guys both have the same ants with the same effects, or similar ants with the same effects, so let's say you guys are both running Giant Tooth, Bullet Ant, and Shikari Master or Reap Master, or even JJ. Let's just say you guys both have JJ, because that's pretty much the meta right now. If you guys both have the same ants, carrier more often will lose more than they will win to shooters, specifically. I'm not saying they can't win. This is also assuming you guys have the same stats, so the same level of evolutions. I should say the same amount of evolutions, everything like that. They're built to be weak to shooters. That's the way the devs designed the game, to balance everything out. Guardians, the biggest weakness to Guardians is they're basically not usable at a low level, because you can't do PvE, you can't hunt with them, and they're not good at Groundhog. So even late game, if you're able to get them, you still need a unit, whether it's shooter or carrier, to hit Groundhog for you, because they're not good at it. Most of the whales I know have a specific unit who use Guardians for PvP, and then they have a unit for carriers or shooters. And when you get to the point where you can have all your ants, or you have most of the ants in the game and they're all maxed, it's doable. In my opinion, Guardians are feasible, but they're more of an endgame ant. If you can see my points, something I didn't go over. So the garrison boost for Guardians does apply to hills, squirters, resource tunnels, for sure. I assume also the tree. And as far as I've seen from reports, probably when you're in Crystal Mine or in Queen of Duels, because I do see the boost being applied there from the reports I've seen. They can be killed by carriers more often than not. So when we're going by numbers, we try to do scientifically. If you have a good carrier unit, you have a good guardian unit, so it's going to be endgame, because again, carriers really aren't viable until T7, T8, and guardians aren't really viable until really like T9, until you have the ants to get them and the evolutions and everything like that. So like guardians to me are really viable if you're gonna do a guardian only squad. If we're talking about carriers to guardians with max ants and both have a, what I'm going to call an integrated PvP system. Not going into that in this video. If they both have that, the Guardians will lose more often than not, 6 out of 10 times, to carriers. With the same amount of evolutions, everything like that. And for the purposes of this video, that is a con. They can also kill shooters pretty easily when they're at the high level. Especially if you have a stall. If you can get the shooters to stop attacking, it's nothing to worry about. Let's see here. Earlier I forgot that this Connie action was on, and it is special ant day right now, so that's kind of why I started doing my stuff, because I was on a time limit, and I'm now in the next Connie action, so it was whatever I got. It was maxed anyways, so yeah, almost there. So the next point I want to make here is what the stats are. So where did I get all this information from, right? Let's see if I can do this without collecting it. I can. So I'm going to look at T8. T8s are relatively easy to get. If I was to play from scratch and only play on one account, I could probably get there in 3 months. If I didn't have a whole bunch of misinformation and I was only playing on one account dedicated with maybe 2 or 3 farms, I could definitely get here, I think, probably 3 months. It's doable. So when you look here, they have 89 attack per ant. I've done a video on how the attack works and defense works. The health is specific to each individual ant, which is the only thing. Really everything, otherwise everything else is kind of sort of grouped, right? Oh no, oh, that sucks. Tomorrow is Soldier Ant Day. Anyways, well, let me I forget where it was. So you see here the T8 shooters had 89, well, the 89 attack, I think, and these have 67, and they have 47 defense and 15 health, which is what I was talking about when I said that these are better all around. The attack and defense are so close, it's not even really worth noting. And the health, is there only 1 point of health? Did shooters get buffed? Or did carriers get debuffed? Okay, so it's a 3 point different. Again, that's per ant. Oh, that's why. So I can't do that. Well, that sucks. Anyways, so compared to the shooter's attack, or Guardians only at 46, which is why I'm saying it's low. But their defense is high at 53. And their health is actually as high as the Guardians, or the carriers now, which is, that must be new. I don't think it used to be that high. It's been a little while since I looked at this. Now this is for T7, so let's look at T8. Wow, Guardians got a huge boost. I didn't even know it was that high. Anyways, I'm not going to be making a Guardian unit because I don't have the ants for them. I would have to take off my shooters, and I think you either need Pro Otta or Rock Banner at this point to really be feasible for a Guardian only unit. I do prefer to run my units as a whole. I'm going to talk about this later, but at T8 they have 59 attack, 61 defense, and 17 health, which makes them usable. I think that's all I got for the video. I just kind of wanted to show you guys where I'm getting the stat information from. Enhanced does change it a little bit, not much. It's like going up basically half a level. If I can show you, can I show you? So at enhanced, shooters have 97 attack, 40 defense, and health stays the same. See if it changes for, so I guess health doesn't change. Defense and attack go up, It's basically a half level. So when you say I say T8E, T8 enhanced, it's like basically T8.5. And I don't have enhanced Guardians to show you guys because I'm not investing into them, at least not until I need to. So yeah, that's kind of the point I wanted to make, was that the difference between stats is what the difference between each class difference is, along with evolutions. Carriers are the most suited overall for PvP and kind of any system. They're jack of all trades. I don't want to say master of none. They do have their perks, but they're slowly becoming more situational, in my opinion, than the other two. Shooters are best at invading. So like if I get knocked down in Queen of Duels, which I probably did, you see I lost. I don't even know who that is. I normally lose to the same people I can knock down. I was trying to see if I could show you. Let's see. Yeah, so you get a boost from attacking, where if I had Guardians as my defensive unit. Let's set them and see what happens. Maybe I'll make a follow-up to this part of the video. They get a boost from being there and defending. If I am, so shooters invading, Guardians is defending something, or garrison, and that I've seen it applying Queen of Duels, so I'm assuming Glory as well. I've seen it in Crystal Mine. Basically almost anywhere where you're going to be defending, they get a boost. But Carrier hits fast, but for PvP purposes, they don't really have that, and they typically do less damage than shooters. There's a lot that goes into that statement, but simplifying it, typically in most situations they do less damage in PvE than shooters. They're harder to get there, is the point that I'm making, and that is a con, because we're talking about at least 8 or 9 months worth of work for a similar result, which for free to play is very important. Most people at that point would have quit the game. But this is the point I was making. Stay tuned for the follow-up video where I'm going to break down the new meta, and before I do that, I'm probably going to explain to you guys a little bit more how PvP works, so you can understand where my points are coming from. I just kind of wanted to get the groundwork, especially since it was requested first for me to do this video, of which class has benefits to the other. So right now it's pretty balanced, if I'm being honest. It's before, if you weren't using carriers or shooters, you were stick in the mud. But and when I first started, really, if you weren't using carriers, you were just getting destroyed. So it's a lot more balanced now than it has been in the past, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will probably either see you guys tonight or tomorrow.